Welcome back to Office Optimism with me, Sharala. Imagine walking into work every day knowing that your voice matters, that your well-being is prioritized, and that your leader sees you not just as an employee, but as a person. Pause for a second and think. When was the last time that you truly felt valued at work? That feeling, that spark, that is what optimism at work is all about. Today on Office Optimism, we're exploring how human-centered workplaces and humble leadership can make that spark a daily reality. Human-centered well-being isn't just about wellness programs or free coffee. It's about creating a culture where psychological safety, inclusion, and empathy guide everyday interactions. Did you know that around 76% of employees report at least one mental health symptom linked to workplace conditions? And companies that prioritize well-being see up to 21% higher productivity and profitability. I once worked with a team where the manager started every meeting by asking, "What is one win that you had this week?" It changed the tone instantly. People began to lean in, they celebrated together, and optimism became contagious. Think about your workplace. What is one small practice that makes you feel seen or supported? But how is it that we build on this kind of culture? It starts with humble leadership. To dive into this topic, we must explain levels of relationships and how that correlates with the workplace. According to Edgar and Peter Schein, the authors of Humble Leadership, The Power of Relationships, Openness, and Trust, they describe a relationship continuum that includes 4 different levels. They begin with level -1, which is described as total impersonal domination and coercion of others, which they argue is always wrong. It would be seen as a violation of another person's humanity. In some texts, this is known as the authority level. Some leaders, they operate from the title on their door. What they say goes. Next is level 1, which Schein and Schein describe as a transactional role and role-based supervision, service, and most form of professional helping relationships. Some may know this level as the exchange level, where one may lead with transactions that translates into, "I'll give you feedback and you give me results." In this level, one is not necessarily known for their name, but only for their role. And when we start to see others as a little bit more than their organizational role, it creates an objectification that leads to distrust, which ultimately leads to inefficiency. And a culture that's marked by this behavior brings socially acceptable workplace discord. In the next level, level 2, is where the Scheins believe humility allows leaders to be vulnerable, and vulnerability opens the door to trusting relationships. Humility allows us to get beyond the professional distance of level 1. In this level, which some may know as the genuine connection level, recognition of the whole person leads to relationship, trust, and dignity. Formal relationships have not changed, but the relational dynamic has. It is within this level when we find leaders to go deeper. They ask, "How are you really?" They admit that they don't have all the answers and that humility transforms relationships into trust. Now, these two authors also describe level 3 relationships, which is characterized as emotionally intimate personal relationships. They do not state that this is a goal for workplace relationships, but this level is reserved for family, close friends, and confidants with whom we share our more intimate and private feelings. Research shows that humble leadership significantly increases engagement, largely by encouraging knowledge sharing and collaboration. I heard about a leader who opened a big team meeting by saying, "I don't know the solution yet, but I believe that we'll figure it out together." That vulnerability shifted the energy, and everyone leaned in to help. Think about a leader who has inspired you. What made their leadership feel different? I'd like to share a time when I encountered a leader that inspired the rest of my career. It was actually my very first supervisor at my very first job. At the age of 15, I worked at CiCi's Pizza, and the owner was Mr. Claiborne Gallagher. I will never forget him. He always made sure that we had a voice, no matter what position we held in that store. He always held team meetings, and at the team meetings, he always wanted to hear our feedback. I can still remember him calling my house phone, asking, "Is this who I believe it is? And are you ready to rock and roll?" And I was always ready and willing to come in and give 100% every single time, because I wanted to go to work, to be inspired, and to fulfill the mission of CiCi's Pizza, which was #1 customer service. That has stayed with me my entire career. And to this day, I will always credit Mr. Claiborne Gallagher for the energy and positivity that he instilled even when I was 15 years old. Optimism thrives in workplaces where recognition is timely and meaningful. Employees receiving recognition are 45% less likely to quit. Yet delayed recognition, like quarterly shout-outs, erodes motivation fast. One team that I know, they started a gratitude board in their office. By the end of the month, it was filled with colorful notes of appreciation, and morale began to soar. Are you wondering what is one small act that you could do tomorrow to bring optimism into your workplace? Well, wonder no more. Our joyful point has just the tip for you. In our joyful point today, we are going to learn how to start a 1-minute recognition check-in. At the start or at the end of a team meeting, take 60 seconds just to recognize one person for something specific that they did recently. It can be a peer-to-peer shout out, or if you're a leader, you can acknowledge a team member. Keep it short, authentic, specific. For example, maybe it's Alex. Maybe that he's been staying late to help finalize client reports. Shout him out and let him know just how big of a difference he has made. Or maybe you want to shout out Jamie for being very creative and bringing that idea to the table because it really energized the project. This works because immediate recognition boosts optimism as people feel seen and valued. It encourages humble leadership as leaders share credit and the spotlight for others' contributions, and it builds a culture of gratitude and engagement with minimal effort. This 1-minute activity can grow naturally into a team-wide recognition culture. So now it's time for the Office Optimism focal point. For leaders, I want you to listen more than you speak. Recognize contributions and don't be afraid to show vulnerability. And for employees, practice gratitude, support your peers, invite collaboration instead of competition. And in closing, human-centered workplaces and humble leadership aren't just nice to haves. They are the foundation of optimism at work. When people feel valued, respected, and connected, optimism doesn't just spread, it becomes the culture. So this week, try one act of humility or gratitude at work. Notice the ripple that it creates. Thanks for tuning in to Office Optimism, and ensure to like, subscribe, and share this video with others. Together, we can reach this channel's first goal of 50 subscribers. Once complete, we'll celebrate with the giveaway. Until next time, lead with humility, amplify joy, and stay bright. Bye-bye.